I was heartbroken when my soldier husband, against my wishes, brought home wife after the Civil War. Weary from the war, it was the last straw, so I stopped fighting my illness. I left behind 8 children. I vowed to not take such disrespect in my next life. It was like fighting and taking lives took something from him, something that I could not provide after I stepped out of the forest a month after the war had ended. His eyes sunken, his frame so thin that I had feared that the breeze would blow him away. I then understood that after all he had seen, nothing meant much to him. In his own way, he just wanted to live. He had seen that life was fleeting, that nothing else mattered. I guess that's what happens when you see promising lives cut off abruptly, ceasing to exist. I did think he would grow to appreciate all that he still had. Myself, our children, and a roof over our heads. If he did, he never showed it. And so, woman after woman came into our home. Each time I vehemently objected, he threatened to throw me out. And where would I go? With my dwindling health, who would house me? Would I even make the journey back to my people alive? What about my children? Who would care for them? Our decimated, starved, and war-torn community? At first, these women were respectful and quiet, greeting me warmly, each one holding his fancy until the next came. They began to show arrogance when their bellies got round with new life, their faces glowing with the radiance of motherhood. My children began to starve in their father's house because I became unable to move around frequently. I couldn't harvest my vegetables and take to the market. I couldn't cook as often as I used to. Walking became such a terrible chore. Our hospitals were desolate after the war, and so I depended on the traditional healers with their concoctions. It suddenly dawned on me that I would die and leave my poor children behind. My eldest, Uche, struggled to get into the university. He became a beacon of hope. I remember on my last day, I held on to life because I knew he would be coming home to visit. His other siblings knew the end was near, and so they called him to come and bid me farewell. My 4 girls, the youngest, were trying so hard to hold in their sobs. My other sons had left my room, sitting outside and trying to be stronger men. I could smell death on me, seeping out of my pores, in my labored breasts. My co-wives had simply peeped into the room, looked around, and walked away, less concerned. I think they were relieved to see me go. Uche came into the room while one of my daughters was wiping sweat from my brow. Even in my state, I managed to smile at him. Uche, my son, my hope. He would take care of the others, I was sure. He stood tall and square-shouldered, proud and bold. This one was a spitting image of his father, just more disciplined with a will of steel. I could trust him. He rushed to my side and clasped my hand. You know what's happening? I told him. Uche nodded slowly. I can't hold on any longer.
You have refused the hospital,
he whispered. Over the years, I had rejected pleas to go to the hospitals far away. I knew, anyways, that I couldn't be saved. I had given up. That's what heartbreak does to you when you're not strong enough. I wasn't strong enough to manage the loss of my infant son and the ingratitude my husband showed me after the war. While he had been out there fighting, I had been here, hiding our children in the bushes, under leaves, in holes, in trees. I had raced traveling from one community to another with our children, going without food and water and sleep to ensure that they survived. One had died, buried in a forest I cannot remember. And this man had come home to marry more wives and bear more children. Where was that happy reunion after we had sacrificed and lost so much? I patted Uche's head and told him, take care of your siblings. I am tired. I tried my best.
Mama. I will.
I remembered my husband, who had gone out earlier in the morning and hadn't returned. Forgive your father. Uche looked away briefly.
I can promise you that.
Don't blame your half-brothers. Uche, they didn't ask to be born.
They would have to fend for themselves, Mama. I'm not their father or mother.
But I knew Uche. He would care for those ones too. My body was warring against me, wanting to shut down, but I wasn't done yet. One by one, my other children stepped into my little room until it was full. I took one last look at their faces. One by one, the faces I had lovingly stared at all their lives. Some I had wiped mud and blood and leaves off from while we were running for our lives. I had done my best, and now they were going to have to go on without me. My youngest, just 13, was crying so loudly that her older sister had to hold on to her. Do whatever Uche says. He's your mother now, I told them, my breath seizing, my sight getting dimmer. I could feel the weak beating of my heart, the cold spreading all over my body. I promised before everything went dark and my hand slackened in Uche's grip. I felt myself being pulled down a warm, narrow space. Everywhere was dark and almost suffocating until, abruptly, I felt a blast of cold air and a burst of light flashed on my closed eyelids. Was it my judgment day? I opened my mouth to protest and a wail came out. I tried to fight, but the hands holding me were stronger and bigger, slippery on my body. Voices around me. I felt a warm fabric being wrapped all around my body, and another pair of hands took me. The voice associated with the former pair of hands said,
See your daughter.
The owner of the hands holding me said,
My daughter.
I opened my heavy eyelids, risking the glare of the bright lights above. I recognized the warm brown eyes, the wide smile, my Uche. I had fulfilled my promise. I returned.
Moist over HQ. Script sound satisfaction.